Hi friends, I'm Lori from Lori's Happy Stamps, and this month we have from the North Pole, November 2022, paper pumpkin. Yay! I love it. It makes 12 tags, and I'm going to get right into it. The tags are adorable, so you can make this tag, and you can make this tag. And the third tag looks like this. Now I put them all together exactly the way the kit shows, except I made a long string to tie it onto a package instead of putting a bow on them. But you can certainly do that. So these three are just adorable, and I liked them so much that I made all 12 of them. I'm going to show you how to put them on card bases. I'm also going to show you how to make additional tags that could be added to card bases, but they are tags using just some scraps that you have around your own craft room and the extra bits that were left after making the 12 tags. I didn't want to interfere with the 12. So I really enjoyed them a lot. But let me show you what we're going to do today. The first thing is I purchased some of these envelopes from or bags from Paper Pumpkin. Or Stampin' Up. I understand they're already gone, but I'm including them for my ladies that are watching this and creating with me on Friday, December 2nd. And you can put your own tags in them and use them as a gift for someone else. So I thought that made a really cute gift just by folding over the bag, putting a ribbon, a bow, which is also in your bits that I sent you, and the Open Me. And how did I get this little scrap of green shimmer? Well, after I punched out the green snowflakes, I took the pieces around the edges and I got 4 of these. So you can get 1/4-inch strips of glitter paper. And then I also kept all of these little pieces, and I'll show you what I've done with some of them. I've made them into holly pieces, so you can add these as holly leaves to your projects. And while we're at it, also the iridescent pieces, I got 6 of these out of there. So I just snipped the circles after I took out the iridescent snowflakes. And I'm going to show you how I used one as a ball for a Santa's hat, and I used others for snowflakes. So I used every bit of this kit that I could, and I hope you like it. So for the envelope, I used one of the extra flags stamped Open Me, and I glued one of the pieces of glimmer paper and just trimmed it off and added again, like I said, the bow that I've included for you. And then I also added one of my own candy canes. And let me tell you about these candy canes real fast. I didn't have enough of the pre-stamped candy canes, so I made my own with my stamp set. And remember, just to let you know, the stamp set can be used over and over again. The first thing I do is I ink up the whole surface and I stamp it down on a card base, which is 5.5 by 4 1/4, and then I cover it with packing tape. So the packing tape is completely over this, so it's kind of shimmery, and it provides a surface then for my stamp set. So I immediately know what my stamps look like. So I find that really helpful. But anyway, this is the stamp I am using, and you have little pieces of white in your kit that I sent you, and the candy cane, when you stamp it, it stamps this way. But did you notice these aren't like that? And how did I do that? Well, what I did is I take my silicone mat and I lay it down flat. And then I take my stamp and I stamp directly on it. So, let's see, I need a bigger, okay. So I stamp directly on my silicone mat. So I ink it up, I stamp it this way, and then I lift it up, and then I stamped it this way. So then what I do is I lay my piece of cardstock over the top of that, and I take something that is flat and I go over the surface of it, and what I get is a reverse image. So I then have candy canes that go both ways, and I'll show you how I use those later, but you might want to make your candy canes this way to start out with. So I use a silicone mat, so anything silicone would work that's flat. And again, you just stamp, ink up, stamp directly on your mat, straight down, straight up, lay your piece of paper over it and give it a good rub. And I like to use something that's kind of flat to make sure that it copies really well, and then you have a reversed image. So I'm going to use those reversed image candy canes a little bit later, but that's how you do that. So lots to do with your stamp set. I gave you 3 red card bases, and I wanted to show you what I did with this one. Look at this one. You also have a piece of white cardstock, and I just made my own flag. And the way I make that flag is I take my piece of paper and my scissors, and I just do a little cut, and then from one corner to I go to that cut, and from the other corner I head for that cut. And so then you have a flagged bottom. Okay, so that's how you make your flag bottom. I stamped the joy 3 times. I bumped it up on dimensionals, and I took my another piece of my glittered paper that was extra, and I glued it here from the edge, glued it down to the other edge, and then trimmed it off. And then I took just a piece of my the extra bit, and I glued it underneath and made it look like a holly leaf. Nobody would know that wasn't a holly leaf. And then look at the little Santa hat up here. What I did is I took one of these little iridescent pieces and I glued it up here, so it looks like kind of like a Santa hat with a joy. And then of course I just stamped the to and the from on the back, and I used shaded spruce for that one. And let me tell you about that to and from. The way I did that is I took one of my blocks and I took the to and the from and I laid it out on my block. So it was the to at the top and the from at the bottom, and I lined them up So now my to and from are right there, and I just used them each time to stamp the back of my tags, all of my tags. So they all had the to and the from the same distance apart, and they were lined up. So that's how you can do that. So this is card or tag number 1 that I made for you. This one, it says open me, and I took 3 strips. Actually, I took one long strip of the glimmer paper, and I glued it on and then trimmed it off, and glued another one on and trimmed it off, and glued a third one on and trimmed it off. And then I took a piece of the sparkle paper, the glimmer paper. You can get 1/4 of an inch around each edge again of that, and I glued that across the top. I've given you some little rhinestones, so I added 3 rhinestones. I gave you some of the extra little bits here that were from the green tags I made you, and I used this punch. So it's called Very Best Trio Punch, Very Best Trio Punch. I used it to make all of the extra tags. So I used the flat one, and then on the green you'll see I used this one, and these little extra bits I glued on the edges here. So you have some of those too to play with. The third one has one of the wonderful snowflakes. I've given you 2 in your extra bits this time, and I glued that on there. You have an extra ho ho ho, so I glued that on, and I happen to have 2 little hearts, so I actually hit a little smudge on this one. So you could use your rhinestones or not. And then I took a piece of mint macaron and glued it on here. I stamped 3 of the dots. I stamped a couple of the dots at the top, and I tied a cute bow with So Soft Succulent ribbon, which I also included for you. So that's the third extra. The fourth one is now using these mint macaron, and you can see the little swirly edges now on this one. And I took a piece of the white paper that I gave you. I stamped the ho 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 in a random pattern. So one started at the top, and then I just started a little bit lower. You have an extra circle, so I used that circle and I bumped it up on dimensionals. You had 1 extra candy cane, so I glued that flat. I added 3 of the rhinestones, and then I stamped the open me on one of the extra flags that you have, tied a bow, and then again I took 2 pieces of that extra glitter paper and glued them in underneath the white piece, and they look like pieces of holly. At least I think they do. Oh, and I also added a piece of green or red cardstock right here. And then the to and the from is on the back, and I tied the bow up here. The last extra one that I gave you is, again, you have another piece of ribbon to tie. We're using the mint macaron with the to and the from. I've given you a Stitched So Sweetly circle, and you can stamp the Express Delivery North Pole and add your own little rhinestone for the nose of Rudolph. I added some more of the extra bits of the glitter paper down below to look like holly, and then I added one of the glimmer pieces or one of the shimmer pieces and added a little rhinestone on that. Makes it kind of look like maybe like a snowball. All right, so also included in your bits this month, I've given you 2 cards from the Santa Express Memories and More. You have this card and envelope, and you also have this red one and an envelope. Then you have two pieces of basic white that are 3 3/4 by 5.5, because then that fits nicely on here. And you can choose to use these, or you can make them as extra tags and not add them. But what I did for this one is I created a background like this with my candy cane, and I used the shaded spruce. And then I can add any of my tags and make it into a card. So it could look like that. It could look like this. It could look like this. It could look like this. Or it could look like this. And I could also use the tags from the kit. So with those tags, it could look like this. You could add this. And the last one is you could add this one. Okay, so you can do lots of things with your tags and making a card. The second card is the green one. And I did polka dots. I did polka dots using the stamp, and I would just glue it flat, and then again you can choose to add one of your tags and complete that front, and they would just be darling. So these are all the extra tags that you can make. And then also the tags from the kit. So that one, this one. You could actually do this one like that. That would be really cute. And what's the last one? This one. So you can see it's really versatile. I also gave you 2 other card bases. The card bases are from the Gingerbread and Peppermint Memories and More from last year, and they had a big clearance at the end of the season last year, so I bought them in thoughts of using them with you this year. So again, you can use the card this way or this way, and you can add your tags right on there. I think they look absolutely adorable. And if you wanted to put them this way, you certainly could. Maybe not that one so much, but you could do it this way. And then, of course, the cards, the tags from the kit. So really, that's about it. I made lots of tags. You can use the tags as gifts, like I said, using your bag and creating a cute little pre-Christmas gift for your family and friends. Or you can decorate your cards. You can add the white piece or not. But we will be going through and making all of these tags and cards on December the 2nd at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I will send you a link, and I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving.